My favourite displays when I first came here, hands down, were the 3 reconstructed interiors. So this one right here, the Roman house, the pleasure gardens and the Victorian walk.
My favourite stories that the museum tells are the ones about the Great Fire of London, because we have just the most incredible collections about them.
I guess if I was going to have to choose a favourite object and you were really going to push me on it, I would probably pick the copper plate map. It's the oldest map of London. It's from 1559 and it sits inside Wallplate and Fire Gallery upstairs from here. And I'm surrounded by maps here, so you can tell I'm a map fan. Just generally, I blame my dad.
There's the debtor's prison cell, because it feeds in really well to crime within London, the story of people who fell into debt and sort of their struggle to get out of that situation.
I think one of my favourite exhibits is the booth map, because I just like the way that the map fills the whole room, the way it's displayed.
Well, my number one favourite one is downstairs. We have a actual prison cell called the Well-Close Prison Cell. But I love it because you can see the carvings in the walls. People have carved their names, they've carved churches, phrases that meant so much to them, and it just makes it so real that these are real people, and it just, some of the engravings are beautiful as well, and it's just a very touching piece. I always love standing in there if ever I'm down in that gallery.
In terms of fame, possibly in terms of a skeleton, that might be one of the Hand family, who were the creators of the Chelsea bun. Richard Hand, that we look after, had been in the Staffordshire Militia and was known as Captain Bun.
So my favourite exhibit is the grime exhibition. I love it because I listen to grime and I love grime, and to have that represented in a museum I think is fantastic. To see my community represented in this space is brilliant, and seeing kind of like the different demographics that come into the space because of that exhibition is really good.
For me, it's the whole museum and the building itself. I just love the way the building flows. I love the fabric of the building and the concrete pillars. It was designed to have that chronological flow of history, which I think is, you know, one of the best things for schools and families visiting. It puts everything in context.
I love the Victorian walk. That's reminds me of my childhood. And but I like going into Romans. That's a really special place. But I think everything is just so nice. Occasionally I slip off for a couple of minutes and watch the wooden tops down on the TV, and that takes me back as well.
There's a lot of unusual stuff that's happened in this place.
We have downstairs a mummified cat that Georgians used to bury inside their walls for good luck to ward off evil omens. And the number of children who walk over, pass by it with, no concern, but then I point it out and they run shrieking to the hills.
I couldn't possibly tell you a funny or amusing story about a small rodent and young ladies from a certain school standing screaming on top of a table. It was the only mouse that's ever been here in 40 years, apparently.
I mean, who knew that having a Paddington bear come and visit families in the museum, he was such a star. And me and my boss at the time were trying to figure out if he could fit his belly into the door and then round the corner to get into his dressing room.
When it's busy, it's just fun. When we've got actors in, we've got an actor in today, being a suffragette, wandering around, that's really good fun. And far more stories that I could say that I just can't tell you right now.
What the museum has done is that it speaks the history that you wouldn't get in a textbook, or you wouldn't get if you were to get sort of a general guide of London.
Seeing the museum with visitors really sort of brings home the purpose of the museum. You actually sort of feel that it's connecting with people.
So when you come into the museum, you have to come across this lovely sort of brick edifice, which is the rotunda, and within that at the moment, that's where all of these wonderful skeletal remains of all the people are. It's just this wonderful mishmash of all these fantastic people that just lived through some pretty momentous times in history. So yeah, I'll miss being with them.
Kids come away from this place and they come back and they say, I came here when I was a child. I know that's true of a lot of museums, but their eyes light up when they come back here. I see them as teachers coming back. Oh, I got brought here when I was at school.
I mean, I think this area is unique. I mean, we're right next to the beautiful Barbican building. I'll miss being up here on the high walk, looking down on everybody, and
And just the space in this museum, I think, is a really magical, inspiring space. And one of my favourite times is just when all the AVs start telling us all the audio, music and sounds that happen in the galleries, when they turn on in the morning and there's no one around, and you just suddenly are submerged in this history, and you're really excited about bringing that to life with the people who come into the museum later in the day.
I found some old photos of when I came here on a school trip 10 years ago, and it made me so happy and ecstatic that I was able to work in such a warm environment that I loved as a child. How it makes everyone else so enjoyable. The kids come running out going, I just saw, a Roman wall, I just saw, a medieval sword. Like, they're always so excited and happy about it, and it makes me happy to be part, even just a little cog in that big machine.
It's made me reflect about myself within that continuity of, thousands of years of Londoners. And there's a real connection there. It feels like it's just not that different. And if people thousands of years ago can seem so close, then, maybe I belong in London, even though I'm not from here.